It's hard because you're budgeting how you work, how you pay, how you going to pay rent. Then it comes in with the gas. So how much I'm gonna have for gas? It's really frustrating that everything is going up and everybody's like turning a blind eye to it. Like, if you can survive, you can survive. If you can't, it's not sure what we're gonna do.
Where are the politicians? You got a Democratic mayor, a Democratic city council.
And I feel it really heartbreaking over that because I put some of these people in, and they did absolutely nothing. And that's really heartbreaking. Absolutely nothing for the people. And they were supposed to be in there for the people. And they did absolutely nothing.
A statement of defiance needs to be had for those that are being displaced and put out in these streets. I'm addressing y'all directly right now. Stand up, because if you don't, you lose. We lose as a people if you do nothing. So standing up is vitally important.
Not a lot of words I could say. Not a lot of words I could say. What you're seeing, and this is why I've never liked the term, gentrification, because they should really call it economic terrorism. Because gentrification, it's like, what is that? Nobody really gets it. It's terrorism. Wouldn't you be scared if you've lived somewhere for 24 years, 29 years? The first one, I think, was 13 years. Wouldn't you be kind of scared if you were like, oh, you got a few months, and here's a coupon, and you go around, and that coupon might buy you breakfast at Denny's? Certainly not an apartment in a safe neighborhood. Certainly not a townhome in a safe neighborhood. And by the way, these are low-income black people. This isn't happening to white yuppies. It's happening to poor black people and poor white people in a lot of places too. Last year when I was in Kentucky, they were evicting a mobile home of poor white folks too. So all you hear about is, oh, we have an emergency of democracy and the election, we have to safeguard the elections. You know what? January 6th was a terrible thing. I'd like to see Trump convicted, but this is not a democracy, what you're seeing. This is an oligarchy. This is an aristocracy. And it's happening in plain sight. And by the way, the media, they come, yeah, they'll talk to the residents. Do these journalists, most of them are doing pretty well, do they give a shit? It's not happening to them. They're going back to the suburbs or downtown if they live in the nice part of Philadelphia. I mean, this is an emergency. By the way, it's not just an emergency for people that have a eviction date. It's an emergency for people that are being priced out of their communities. I was in Florida, our last trip, Tampa, Orlando. The rent was going up 40%. 40%. Where are they supposed to move? The Atlantic Ocean? I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I got to tell you, I mean, the Republicans obviously don't give a shit. They take money from the same corrupt real estate developers. But, you know, it's the Democrats, they'll put in their window Black Lives Matter. They'll put up a pride flag now supporting trans people. That's great. But, you know, these are black people. These are black lives. A lot of this is happening also in low-income Hispanic communities. It doesn't seem like these lives matter so much if it means challenging the real estate developers. And she said something so powerful. We're not against change. We're not against our communities being made more beautiful and new restaurants and bars and, you know, nice apartments. That's great. But not if you're demolishing where we live and throwing us out like we're garbage to make it happen. And I think it's so important. And Steve Grumbine, who has a show on Status Coup on Sundays, so check that out, 2 o'clock Eastern on Sundays, he's talked about this a lot. It really doesn't get enough attention how the universities play a huge role here. University of Pennsylvania, Drexel University here, in New York City, Columbia, okay, to educate the masses with $60,000 tuitions and indebting the students for the rest of their lives, they're displacing people who were born there and who grew up there. Poor black people, Hispanic, poor white. I mean, we know about indigenous people in this country too. They're saying, hey, we want to, economic development is the word. It's always economic development, urban renewal. Well, that's a problem because these people, who knows where they're going to go? And to the people out there, well, Jordan, that's capitalism. The landlord has a right to sell his property. He gave them enough notice. Well, if that's capitalism, we need to change the system to something else. Because that landlord, there has to be some limits that if you're going to make X dollar on throwing senior citizens and disabled people onto the streets, then maybe there needs to be some restrictions on how much profit you can make. Because this landlord does not need to sell this property. Or the city, to avoid the residents being evicted, the city could step in and make a deal with this landlord if he wants to get out from under it. We always seem to have enough money. We're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. We're sending trillions of dollars during this pandemic. The Federal Reserve pumped out trillions of dollars to buy up bonds and other assets. It was all for corporate America. I spoke with a bar owner earlier today. We recorded it. I spoke with a bar owner. He's got a $32,000 loan. $32,000 he has to pay back for a pandemic he did not create. Meanwhile, real estate prices have gone up in Philadelphia. Insurance has gone up. Nobody could live like this. And by the way, we haven't. That fine woman was talking about it. Can you imagine the mental health problems this is causing? The mental health problems? I mean, people deal with stress, but imagine you got to get your kids to school, you got a pandemic, you're facing eviction, gas is, now there's, CNN was giddy that gas went down to $4.60 today, $4.60. Yeah, if you make six figures on CNN, yes, $4.60. By the way, most of that price is through greedy fossil fuckers, excuse my French, price gouging. So, unfortunately, now what you have is what we've always had. The Democrats are running on, the Republicans are extreme. They're going to take away reproductive rights. Yes, they are. They are doing that. They're going after trans people. The Democrats are basically running on all these issues, which are important issues. I don't want to say they're not. Because now they're cheerleading, oh, we don't have to run on anything economically. We don't have to run on the fact that we haven't done anything about gentrification. We don't have to run anything on Philadelphia. What is it, $8 an hour is the minimum wage? This is a democratic city. The minimum wage, I think, is 8 something. $7.50? With inflation, that's probably under the federal minimum wage. I mean, this is an emergency. So if you're in Philadelphia, if you're driving distance, this is the UC Townhomes. Now they're calling it the People's Townhomes, the UC Townhomes. It's on 40th and Market Street. You could go online if you're not from here to find out more. Save UC Townhomes, and this is why we go on the road. I mean, you really can't. You could interview people like when you're not on the road, but you really can't get a feel unless you're here. I mean, if you're driving through this community, a couple blocks down, it's restaurants and bars and new developments that they've rose, and then you come here, you have one of the few affordable housing places still here that they're trying to get rid of. And somebody told me they want to put in like a lab here, a lab. But I got to tell you, I mean, I don't tell people how to vote. You vote for whoever you want. But voting is not going to get us out of this mess. And I'm not telling you not to vote. Obviously, do what you want. People have voted. They always say, Colin did this great video, if you saw it. He took us from 2004 to now, so almost 20 years. Just a mashup with them saying, this is the most important election of our life. Kerry and Obama and Biden and some of the Republicans. Every time it's the most important election of our life. Well, these people, this is the most important time of their lives because they're going to be on the streets soon. And I think it's great, by the way, a lot of the people here are white. I think there's a role for white people that are doing, and by the way, there's a lot of poor white people too, so I'm not saying it's, all white people, but people, if you can, need to get off their asses, and if you're doing a little better, help these people. Half a life is showing up. I really believe that. You got a lot of people from the community that are white, might be doing a little better. Not that they're swimming in money, but aren't facing eviction in 2 months. They're out here. And by the way, it's 10 o'clock. It's still fucking hot out. It's a heat wave this week. And they're out here all day. I think it's going to be 96 tomorrow. These people are out here. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.